Welcome, folks. This is a downtown tour. Get a good picture of One Times Square. 30 years ago, if you stood on a street corner in the heart of Times Square, you would have seen all of the Ten Commandments broken. Oh, Times Square. It's a part of what New York is all about. And one thing is for sure, folks. There's one thing that never changes, and that is that New York is constantly changing. All different cultures, races, religions, all living together as one common New Yorker. That is what we are about. And I'm very proud to be a New Yorker.
De gemeenschappelijke, universele New Yorker. Je kunt je afvragen of dat stereotype beeld wel juist is. Is het wel mogelijk om precies te zeggen wie of wat een New Yorker is? Het lijkt een legitieme vraag in een stad die per saldo is gegrondvest op diversiteit. Bestaat er eigenlijk wel een gemiddelde New Yorker? En begrijp je wel iets van deze stad als je zoekt naar het gemiddelde? Want juist de extreme typeren New York. We gaan weer zo'n 400 jaar terug in de tijd, toen New York nog Nieuw Amsterdam heette.
When you're doing history, it's always to some extent an act of imagination because you know the past isn't here.
No.
And that's especially true when you're in Manhattan, in Lower Manhattan, trying to envision it the way it was in the 1620s. So the first settlers arrive, 1624, 25, 26. They come in the harbor, their ships anchor there, and this was the basis. This was the beginning of New Amsterdam, the beginning of New York, you would say.
What would they see? What buildings were there?
It was really rough. Well, they had to build. The first settlers had to build it.
Yeah.
They started the fort, which, conveniently enough, the old custom house, that building, is built pretty much exactly on the site of the fort. The street pattern of the financial district where we are is basically the street pattern of New Amsterdam. So people ask me all the time, what did they leave behind? These streets, Broad Street, Pearl Street, Whitehall, these streets basically are New Amsterdam. Right. And if you don't look up, if you just keep your head down, then you begin to be able to appreciate it. This later became known as Pearl Street, and this was the beach.
Right.
That was water, this was the beach. Therefore, the fort was there, and you had your first row of houses here facing the water. You know, there's a strange combination when you're trying to understand the Dutch in the 17th century, and particularly this place, because they were a very moral, very pious people. Yeah. But it was also a very loose place, partly because it was so far from anything. So you had smugglers, prostitutes, you had privateers who were licensed pirates, and then you had people who were pirates who then became part of society. Then you had these people from Angola who were given Spanish names who were wandering the street too. So it was a very interesting, chaotic time. I mean, they found a way to make this diversity work for them, whereas in Europe, intolerance was official line.
Folks, the Empire State Building was built in 1930. So can you imagine how people in 1930 viewed that 102-story building? We're coming into Chinatown, Little Italy stop. Canal Street coming up is the main street in Chinatown. Unfortunately, Little Italy has shrunk throughout the years. Chinatown has taken over much of Little Italy. A lot of the Italian heritage lived and grew up in Little Italy. but those days are gone.
Toen de oude kolonie een stad werd en alsmaar bleef doorgroeien, voltrok zich een geleidelijke maar ingrijpende verandering. De verschillende bevolkingsgroepen zouden niet meer dwars door elkaar blijven wonen. Er ontstonden wijken langs etnische lijnen. Die lijnen verschoven. En daarmee werden de wijken soms groter en dan weer kleiner. En dat lijkt altijd te hebben gewerkt. Deze stad vraagt om een grootsteedse mentaliteit. Leven en laten leven. Ruimte voor iedereen. Ook al is de fysieke ruimte beperkt, er moet volop ruimte in je hoofd zijn hier. Want anders ben je gedwongen elkaar de hutzone in te duwen. En dat is natuurlijk in het verleden vaak genoeg gebeurd. Maar een gewoonte kun je daar niet van maken. De vraag is het succes van New York wel gebaseerd op assimilatie of eigenlijk eerder op het omgekeerde?
You're welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you, sir?
Okay. Where has Little Italy gone?
Little Italy, you're in the heart of Little Italy. You're right in the heart of it. Here's Ferrara's next door, Di Paolo Cheese, a Lever's cheese store. The Italian-American Museum is right across the street. Oh, Little Italy's right here.
Okay.
E. Rossi and Company. We established 1910, so next year would be 100 years in business.
100 years and how many generations?
I'm the third generation. This is my Uncle Eddie.
Hi, I'm Dirk. Hi, how are you?
How many years you been here, Uncle Eddie?
He started working with his father about 45 years. 48 years.
48 years.
This is a photograph of the store when they first started. That's my father there. So this photograph is probably early 1920s. This is a picture of Little Italy, 1900. And you can see that's 84 Mulberry. And look here, this looks like it's a German name here. Before the Italians, probably in the late 1880s, 1890s, Germans immigrated here before the Italians, and then the Italians came in afterward. One thing's missing in this photograph, which is the Empire State Building.
Great.
There it is.
Yeah, it's nicely
Is it?
framed.
You know, I was born right in the middle of the block here, and as a little boy, I used to look out the window on the 5th floor, and I would see the Empire State Building. And I always believed, I says, wow, they built it right where I could see it, as if it were a straight line. I had the best view. Hey, ¿cómo está? That's one of my friends. How you doing, all right?
Parlerei buono all'Italia.
Sì.
E questo è buono.
See, he told me speak well of Italy. Yeah, I'm born and brought up here. And as kids, you know, we grew up actually on the sidewalks of New York. We grew up playing in the streets. I'm surprised I'm still here today that I wasn't run over by a car years ago. I really loved growing up here. And this is Antonio and Giovanni.
Here's a famous waiter from Little Italy, over 40 years.
How you doing, guys? Everybody all right?
We didn't have
Yes, we're
anybody.
doing okay.
All right, that's cool, that's
We're
good.
getting a great tour of Little Italy.
Oh, the best.
Ernie, get it.
Eddie, the best.
You got to come here when he has the Italian band.
Tomorrow night.
If you're here tomorrow night,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Something to see. I bring them in there, I bring them across the street in there, I bring them all over.
Yeah, and the band marches through the street and plays.
We gotta have fun. New York is a place to be to have fun. We are number one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Anthony,
Ciao,
thank
ciao.
you.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Giovanni. And here is Oliva's cheese store. Let's take a little peek inside. Oh boy, did you smell the aromas? I already gained 10 pounds just by smelling. There's my friend Bobby Oliva. Just want to show these gentlemen your place. I told you, you're the oldest Italian cheese store in the United States.
That's right.
That's right, right?
My great-grandparents started in 1892.
Yeah. And
Great-grandparents.
Great-grandparents, yeah.
Yeah.
when I was a little boy, my mother would take me in here, and I'd always sit here. And I guess this is a new one. I think I bent the old one.
You broke the other one.
I did. I broke the
You
old
didn't bend it. You broke it.
So this is one of the places where Little Italy has stayed the same.
Oh yes, this place has not changed.
Although it kept growing smaller and smaller.
Exactly, but
Still,
this is the heart of Little Italy right here.
stronghold.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it hurts to see Little Italy
Yeah,
reduce in size and become smaller.
Yeah, but you
there's
can
no
accept
two ways
it.
about that. I'd like to see it reversed. I mean, I wish more Italians would come in from Italy, but it doesn't seem to be the case. But as the Italians moved out and passed on, someone else had to come in and keep New York going. Yeah, hey, John, how you doing? Hi.
How are you?
Yes,
Hi,
that was my
hi,
friend Johnny Mandolin.
How are you?
How you doing today, John?
I'm doing
All right?
great. How are you? Take care.
I'll see you later, John. I mean, there really wasn't really any conflicts. In fact, Little Italy and Chinatown were always close neighbors. There was never any problems between either of us.
That is
And
the
I-
same. Today,
Yeah, it's the
you get
same.
along
And I believe
well.
that Chinatown wants us to be here, and we want Chinatown to be here.
Een New Yorker kan nooit tegen iemand anders zeggen, jij hoort hier eigenlijk niet. De levenskracht en het karakter van deze stad is natuurlijk altijd geweest die enorme diversiteit van mensen die van over de hele wereld hier naartoe kwamen. En het gekke is, zo'n plek was de Nederlandse Republiek, de Verenigde Nederlanden ook in de 17e eeuw. Ook dat was een plek waar vanuit heel Europa mensen naartoe kwamen om economische redenen, uit oorlogen, maar ook vanwege het feit dat ze daar een relatieve vrijheid van godsdienst en van politieke overtuiging hadden. Als zo'n land een kolonie sticht over zee, ja, dan ligt het wel heel erg voor de hand dat ook zo'n plekje, hoe klein het ook is, een grote verscheidenheid aan mensen en culturen in zich bergt. The marriage register, right?
This is not only the marriage register, the baptismal registers. So this is like more of a compendium of the early years of the church.
Jim, could you please find August 1647?
Certainly.
And that's actually my first Dutch ancestor. It's Captain Jan de Vries in Swartien.
Yeah.
And this is one of the rare times where you're going to see both the name of the husband and the wife. Captain Jan de Vries is one of the first who does mingle, who does go into the black community that surrounds his property, and he's known, even in some of the court records, as being too friendly with the Native Americans. So he's an interesting character.
Which marriage is
No,
that?
this is going to be an African marriage.
this
This is
this one.
actually, I believe,
Congo.
my ancestors
Anthony
too.
de Congo.
Harm, Goudzoon en Maria Malaos uit Angola.
This is almost unheard of in North American colonial history, especially among the English. If you see the marriage between any Africans, they're black if they have any kind of surname at all. It gives you a sense of the possibilities in America, that early on in the 1640s in New Amsterdam, there was a possibility of people getting along, intermarrying, playing, working together, living together. So for me personally, knowing that these folks are my ancestors, and at least someone took the opportunity to record their names and didn't just eliminate them as black, and pieces of property, is very meaningful to me.
Early possibility of the American ideal.
Absolutely.
The idea
This
of
is
America.
right, exactly. This was the start of that. When we think about diversity, we don't have to go far in this city, right here in Manhattan Island. In any moment of the day, sometimes I feel Native American, sometimes I feel African, and every once in a blue moon, I feel Dutch. And today I'm Dutch.
Okay.
But this was the lake, and in that Dutch colony where I mentioned Captain Jan de Vries was right underneath that federal courthouse. That's where his land is located. And he's got several Swartien, beautiful women there, and Africans, and they actually adjoin the land of the free blacks. If you go
Behind his land
is
the black
Chinatown,
farmers.
right? And Chinatown was in the 1640s owned by a free black woman. So this also gives you a sense of what America might have become, where you've got this individual who's very much an unknown in American history, but he's living the life of diversity. That has relevancy today. And here we are on this courthouse steps, and when we come back through, I want to point out to you, Dirk, that this is the land of Jan de Vries.
Yeah.
Captain Jan de Vries. I wonder how he might have felt. People may not know his name, but I associate anything good of that period with Jan de Vries. If I got a Dutch ancestor, I got a good one. He was a good one. Yeah.
In de 17e eeuw was de Nederlandse Republiek de enige staat in Europa die zijn bestaansrecht fundeerde op vrijheid van geweten. En op die gewetensvrijheid probeerden de minderheden in Nieuw-Nederland natuurlijk ook aanspraak te maken. Deze Joodse congregatie, gelegen aan Central Park, gaat er prat op dat ze rechtstreeks afstamt van de allereerste groep van 23 Joden die hier aankwamen uit het voormalig Nederlands-Brazilië. En toen bleek al snel dat er in Nieuw Amsterdam ook grenzen waren aan die veelgeroemde tolerante samenleving.
This building was built in 1897. It's our 5th synagogue building in our 350-year history.
These 350 years had a beginning
We had
in the 17th century with 23 Jewish refugees. How did that come about? How did they end up here?
Well, the community was in Recife, Brazil. And unfortunately, the Portuguese were coming at that point, and the Jews got terrified that the Inquisition, which they thought they had left behind in Spain and Portugal, was going to follow them into the New World, into South America. So 23 of them boarded a ship and came to flee. They were captured by pirates and redeemed by a French vessel that actually took all their possessions away, according to our story. And then they dropped them off here in New Amsterdam. And the governor, Peter Stuyvesant, at that point, was incredibly unenthusiastic, unfortunately, and he forbade them from entry.
I have here a part of a letter Peter Stuyvesant wrote, and it's quite interesting what he writes, that the deceitful race, such hateful enemies and blasphemers of the name of Christ be not allowed further to infect and trouble this new colony. They hated them, really hated them.
Right.
Yeah.
So these 23 Jews, I don't know how they got the chutzpah, as we would say today, how they had the courage to stand up to him, but rather than just meekly boarding a ship and trying to seek refuge elsewhere, they wrote back to their contacts in Amsterdam. The Jews in Amsterdam got involved, and they wrote to the Dutch West India Company explaining that they have very heavy investments in the company and that the India Company better back down and allow the Jews to stay in. Ultimately, economics are what won the day. The Dutch West India Company felt that there was no way to refuse them, so they wrote back to Stuyvesant saying, you have to let them in. It was not a human rights issue. It was certainly not an issue of true religious tolerance, even though, again, tragically, that was just about as tolerant a society as there was in the 17th century towards Jews. It's very instructive, but ultimately it was money rather than ideology that won the day.
Could there also be a part of this story that points forward to present-day New York, to the history of the modern New York as we know it?
Our true American ideology is that all people are created equal. And one day, God willing, we'll actually reach that goal for real, where people genuinely can respect one another, people coming from different backgrounds. New York is one of the ultimate models in human civilization for that, because of all the immigrants coming from so many different societies and really having to, at first, to learn to coexist, but very often really building up true respect one for the other, and how we can all really function as a united society, even as each one of us have our own distinct beliefs and practices.
Allegedly attacked by a gang of high school students on the hunt for Hispanics, a crime that many say exposes a simmering anti-immigrant sentiment in suburban New York.
In de wereldstad, waar mensen in een beperkte ruimte dicht op elkaar leven, hoef je nooit lang te wachten op religieuze, raciale of etnische problemen. Het ontstaan van al die verschillende wijken was de typisch New Yorkse oplossing om het leven enigszins te vergemakkelijken. Maar de breuklijnen van die wijken waren de plekken waar de botsingen plaatsvonden. En langs die lijnen, op straatniveau, op de scholen, In de buurtcentra, op het lokale basketbalveldje, daar vinden die botsingen nog altijd plaats. Maar daar hoef je je natuurlijk niet bij neer te leggen.
Good morning, boys and girls. What the panel today actually is going to talk about is some of the situations that they've been in where they were discriminated against and how it affected them. Tariq, you ready? No? What about Leland? Go ahead.
So I was playing basketball outside, and some kids came over and they told me I can't be here, and I said that I had permission because the coach let me. And then they said that the coach wasn't supposed to let me because the neighborhood was a white neighborhood, and I didn't like black people, and I really got upset. I ignore what the people say, but I still remember what they say, and I still remember their faces, and they still keep on coming up, and they really get me mad every time I think about it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Someone else.
I was in the lunch club, and I sat next to this girl, forgot her name, and then she moved away, and then I moved closer to her. And then Samantha asked her why she was moving away, and she said she doesn't like my skin color.
So these experiences are very, very painful. We think it's just kidding around, or maybe it's going to go away, but it stays with us. So congratulations for sharing the story. How do you feel now for the first time sharing the story, on camera even?
Happy, because I expressed my feelings to everybody.
Finally.
Let's see, Tariq.
People kept on saying that, like, I don't belong in the school because I'm Palestine, and they never stopped doing that.
Do you think people understand what it means to be from Palestine? No? Do you want to say something about that?
Okay. Get to know me.
Yeah, get to know me. Who would like to get to know Tariq and know that he's from Palestine? What stories does he have to share with us?
People don't get taught to deal with conflict or to deal with difference effectively for the most part. It's often you hit back or you run away. The conflict stays. It escalates or it lingers. And it gets in the way of how we build relationships, constructive, positive relationships and communities that are based on respect, that are based on acceptance, on inclusion, rather than pushing people out. And I think we as adults then have a lot to learn from the kids because they're more honest.
And they're ready to go where it hurts. And I think our work, the way we do it, is in the here and in the now. It's not about delving into past histories or any kind of therapy sessions. We just have to deal with what we see and what we hear and how it hurts.
What's the problem? When we were walking down to lunch, he said he didn't want to hold my hand because it was the color of dirt.
What's the problem?
When we were lining up, I didn't want to hold his hand because it looks like dirt, and I didn't want to eat out of it when we were going to eat lunch.
How do you feel?
Upset, but not too upset because at the time he didn't really know how that could have affected somebody.
Okay. How do you feel?
Embarrassed of me saying that to him.
How do you guys think that you guys can solve this problem?
By him saying sorry and by him now knowing that saying things about your culture and your skin color could affect somebody in a deep way. We can't do that in school.
So, shake hands.
The strength, I think, lies in feeling good about ourselves. And when we feel good about ourselves, we're more likely to be open to others who we might not know as well. It's about instilling a pride. And pride is often seen as a conceited or negative term, when I think it's actually something that's very positive, that people can feel good about where they're from.
They're not here yet, but they're surely coming when we'll be reconciled one to another and to our God, from the least to the greatest. Are you with me? Can you imagine? We will not govern our lives by fear and suspicion. We will not let our prejudices and our stereotypes of smart, math-loving, violin-playing, assimilating Asians, or bright clothes-wearing, too many in one house living, loud-talking Latino Latinas, or basketball-playing, gang-banging, oversexed black folk, or passive alcoholic Native Americans and power-hungry racist white men shape the way we interact with each other. Are you with me? Yes. Instead of projecting and thinking we know who the other is, we'll be thinking about how much like the other we are. And therein find the sameness that makes us human, which is to say, we all screw up. We rehearse right here and right now a new way of being, a new wholeness, a new shalom. Can you imagine it? Can you dream it? Can you see it? Because I dream a world where man, no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race may be, will share the bounties of the earth and every man is free. I dream that world. Don't you? We live in this city that is like the city. How does the New York diversity, inclusion, fabulousness, and our hooking up across difference talk to each other?
One of the realities is we've elected the first African American president in this country, and the incidence of racial tension and racism has increased. I mean, across the country. His election, rather than communicating we no longer have this problem, it has opened the door to a higher level of awareness about the fact we have this problem. His elevation into the office of the presidency has, in some way, I think, been permission-giving to deal with this in a new way.
I feel like this city knows how to make space for each other. I'm not saying whoop-de-doo, everybody's happy and well-adjusted and can't wait to hug you. I don't mean that. But I do feel almost like the kind of respect for anonymity. There's room for you to be who you want to be here. That's what I'm trying to say. And however that happened in our culture, that makes me feel at home. That I feel safe, Johnny, walking down the street holding your hand. I feel safe by myself.
Strawberry Field in Liverpool. Strawberry Fields was not only the song, it was an orphanage in Liverpool where John used to hang out when he was younger. But 1980-81, when Yoko Ono took a full-page ad out in the New York Times, dedicate peace. So welcome to New York, folks, and welcome to the jungle. Peace out. Thank you.
Adriaan van der Donk, de enige jurist van Nieuw Amsterdam, voorspelde in zijn boek Beschrijvingen van Nieuw Nederland met een griezelig vooruitziende blik de enorme, eeuwenlang durende stroom migranten waardoor de uiteindelijke wereldstad exponentieel zou groeien. Hij schreef dat de Nederlanders een barmhartige aard hadden en buitenlanders feitelijk als ingeborenen beschouwden, waardoor die bereid was zich aan te passen en er succes van kon maken. Het waren deze massa's, schreef hij, die nadat ze waren ondergedompeld in de Nederlandse traditie van tolerantie, de kolonie zouden laten bloeien.
If you think about it in recent context, people in the Netherlands worrying about immigrants coming in. And he's saying, look, this is not a problem. People will come here, we will process them, they will become us. And in this case, we'll ship them to this colony and we'll grow the colony.
And this mentality of open-mindedness to other cultures and people, is that mentality still around in New York, or is that far-fetched?
Well, I think that was one type of Dutchman in the 17th century. There were other types as well. And yeah, in New York, certainly the openness is part of New York culture. Whether you can make the link and say, yeah, it really comes from the Dutch period, I don't know. But openness, the churning mixture, and people feeding off that, I think that's really true of Amsterdam and of New Amsterdam too. So I think that all of that led to this new kind of person, a new world European, you might say, not confined by systems that had been built up in Europe. They had a freer go of it.
In New York is de grondhouding van de Amerikaanse samenleving het duidelijkst zichtbaar. Veel zichtbaarder dan bijvoorbeeld in Wyoming, South Carolina of Texas. De deur van het land staat nog altijd open. Dat kan ook niet anders, want anders zou je het bestaansrecht van dit land ontkennen. Buitenstaanders worden hier niet alleen getolereerd, maar komen na 5 jaar legaal in het land te hebben gewoond in aanmerking voor het staatsburgerschap.
Okay, it's very important for you that practice that, because when you do this well, you answer the question and you pass the interview, you become an American citizen. With all the full rights, all the benefits, you finish your interview, receive your letter, take the oath, and you become an American citizen. Somebody has regret about to come to the United States? No? Nobody feels sorry about that? If you can do it, you do it again the same or not?
Yes. I miss my country. But
you miss your country?
Yeah, but when I go over there, when I have a month, I want to come back.
Okay, when you go to the country, you miss New York.
Right.
Okay, it's weird that, no? Because you become immigrant and you never be the same. Okay, now we practice the interview. They want to check if you know the minimum to pass the test. Okay? Stand up. Please raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I promise.
Okay. Sit down. Do you understand what an oath is?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, what is an oath?
I come to be here for my interviews.
Okay, perfect. But the first, what is an oath?
So I'm promised to the
It's
interview.
a promise?
It's a promise for the interview today.
It's a promise to tell the truth.
To tell the truth.
That is important because if you don't understand what are you doing, the interview stop there. In what month do we vote for president?
November.
Very good. What group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves?
The African.
Africans, very good. Name one American Indian tribe in the United States.
Freedom?
Freedom of nothing, no. Name one American tribe, remember. Tetons.
Teton, oh yeah, Teton, I forgot the last.
Blackfeet, Cherokee, Sioux. Remember the movies. Who can say me what mean American Dream? Never heard about that? American Dream.
No. The American dream, the people that come from to another country to come here, the dream is everybody to have they want home, to buy a house and have a better life than another country where they come from. That's what is the American dream.
And what happened with your American Dream, Vivian?
I have my American dream already.
Oh yeah?
Yes. I got my house and I will be a citizen soon.
In 1 month.
In 1 month.
So, how many people are you going to give the American citizenship today?
Well, we're going to get the exact number when we get to the courtroom, but normally we're around 230 or to 250 on any given naturalization day.
And we're here in Brooklyn. How many people get an American citizenship a year here in Brooklyn?
This is one of the gateway districts in the United States, so it is, in fact, the second largest district. We do 50,000, we did in the calendar year 2008. But so that you can put together that there are hundreds of thousands, literally, of new citizens being made in the United States every year.
All rise, the Honorable Judge Eric Vitaliano presiding.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Judge Eric Vitaliano, Judge of the United States District Court here in Brooklyn. It's my privilege to preside over your citizenship ceremony this morning, to make you official citizens of the United States and to welcome you formally to our country and to our courthouse. I see people drawn from every corner of the globe, every size and shape and color. It is a marvelous tableau of a new America, and it is a reaffirmation of what America always has been. I stand before you with the name Vitaliano. My forebears were not Native Americans. 100 years ago, they made that trek from Italy and came to this country to make a new life. And within those 100 years, the grandson of those Italian immigrants was nominated by the President of the United States to be United States District Judge and to stand here and have the privilege of welcoming you. There's no reason why that can't happen to one of your children or one of your grandchildren. That too is part of the promise of America. We understand as we look out at the Statue of Liberty that welcomes all immigrants to our shores, that perhaps the lady next door is not as welcoming. And their response was at times to hide who they were. We ask you, not to make that mistake, to preserve your language, to preserve your culture, to preserve your religious beliefs, and not only just preserve them and hand them down to generation after generation in your family, but the strength of America comes from the fact that you not only preserve it, but you share it with Americans who are not like you. That's what makes America strong. You may proceed, Madam Clerk.
Will all persons scheduled for citizenship please raise your right hands and repeat after me? I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would once again repeat after me, we will now pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty.
Hi, good morning. Okay, thank you.
The great strength of New York is attracting people from around the world. And so people that are different than you, whether it's look, dress, smell, how they behave, they aren't threatening because you live next to them. That's one of the great strengths of New York. And I've always thought that the future of New York, when we come out of this next economic downturn, is better than any place else because of that. And in some senses, the more countries and cities are anti-immigrant, the better that is for New York. In the end, we will have the people who have dreams and who are willing to work hard. We accept new cultures and we blend it in. I always joke, the Vietnamese War did not turn out well for us. We basically lost the war and pulled out. And 6 months later, there was a Vietnamese restaurant in every neighborhood. And New Yorkers don't have these divisions in their minds that they do in other parts of the world as much. And I think the great contribution that the Dutch made to New York was a spirit of openness and acceptance in a period where people didn't think that. I don't dislike you because your great-great-grandfather had a fight with my great-great-grandfather. I don't even know who you are, where you came from, nor do I care. I only care about our relationship today and where we go forward together. And to some extent that comes from Dutch days and the founding fathers. We do something that nobody else does. We hyphenate our nationalities. I'm a Dutch American. I'm an Irish American. It says that you're proud of where you came from and you're proud of where you are.
Hier loopt de hele wereld elkaar voor de voeten. Maar iedereen heeft ook zijn eigen plek in New York, met zijn eigen regels en zijn eigen codes. Die Italiaanse rechter bij het afleggen van de Oath of Allegiance, die benadrukte het al. Blijf, ook als je nieuw staatsburger wordt, trouw aan je oorspronkelijke cultuur en geef die door aan je eigen kinderen. Samenleven in plaats van assimileren. Er is hier in New York niet één heersende norm om je bij aan te passen. Daar zou een New Yorker ook wars van zijn. Alleen al daarom is het een New Yorker. De conclusie moet zijn dat de echte New Yorker iemand is die constant omringd is door mensen uit andere leefwerelden. En die beroemde melting pot, die is dus eigenlijk meer een salad bowl. In de melting pot is alles en iedereen versmolten, maar in de salad bowl is een stukje komkommer nog altijd goed van een radijsje te onderscheiden. Rechter Eric Vitaliano had er een andere, soortgelijke benaming voor.
I used to call it the mulligan stew, which is that there are all of these different things in the mulligan stew. There's this common liquid that holds it all together, but you still can taste the potatoes, and you can still taste the celery, and you can still taste the onions, and you can still taste the carrots. And that's what America has been, at least in New York.